Hi everyone, I'm back with another video from the Season 8 PTR and I have something quite interesting to show today. So I'm playing two-man here with Boiler. You might know him, he's our max roll druid class lead. He has made many guides over the seasons and he is playing a support druid while I'm carrying with my Spiritborn. Now I've already talked about this Spiritborn build in particular. This is an Ashava power based build with Noxious Resonance, a poison build, and I have cleared like tier 100 pretty easily with that, for example, myself. But in Diablo 4, compared to Diablo 3, for example, we've never really had any kind of like support group meta or something like that. If you have played Diablo 3, then you will certainly know, in 4-man teams especially, for example, we always had like, one trash killer, one boss killer, and like two supports, like a support bar for pulling stuff, and then a support demon hunter, for example, for buffing the team, and these kind of things. And well, one advantage of that was that, for example, less skilled players or less geared players and like lower level players were able to get into high-end teams pretty easily. So a lot of people actually played this and then farmed experience together, made their gem ups and so on. And well, it seems like we might be able to replicate something like that finally in Diablo 4. In Diablo 4, usually this was not really a thing outside of like some scenarios, like for example, with the old shatter bugs for the Zorks, it was pretty beneficial to have, for example, a barb making large pulls for them and these kind of things. But the problem was always that, especially in the boss fights, you just couldn't bring enough power to the DPS players in order to make that worthwhile. But now the druids actually can, with the new boss powers from Season 8, and also some other changes that have happened on the class, they can bring a lot of damage buffs, they can pull enemies, they can make everyone giga tanky, and they can execute enemies, give you crit and attack speed buffs, heal you, they basically give you everything you want. And this is what you're seeing in action here right now. Now, a lot of the stuff I bring myself as a Spiritborn here as well, because obviously this is like a pretty high-end build that has a lot of things already in the setup, but this is not necessarily the same for every build out there. So we just tried this with this build I had ready here, and there's certainly even better combinations where you can profit even more from all the buffs and all the utility that the druid can bring. So that's actually quite interesting, and it worked pretty well. Boiler has also tried this with other teams, for example, and he definitely made some of those setups more successful than they would otherwise be in solo play. So this may be specific to Season 8, because there is some extra new boss powers now that he can actually bring as the support player that then the DPS players don't have to bring for themselves. So we'll see how this will actually continue after the season, or if there's any kind of nerfs or something like that. But for now, it looks like this could actually be a viable scenario, at the very least for druids, to be introduced in like really high pit tiers, for example. They can do them by themselves as well. Druids have a bunch of pretty strong builds. But if you are like a group player and you want to do something like that and support your teammates, some people just really enjoy that stuff and has never really been viable in Diablo 4 so far. But to give you a bit of a rundown of what you can expect here, in fact, we actually have an archived druid guide here already. So if you go here to our archived builds, we used to have the support druid guide, but it never really took off, so we archived it for the time being. But it seems like this is coming back for Season 8, so Boiler is planning to update this, pending the final patch notes, of course. But yeah, you can actually see the overview here right now with like offensive buffs, defensive buffs, and all that kind of stuff. And there's some new tech that is now involved here with the new seasonal powers. So I just wanted to show this off real quick, and then as Season 8 approaches, if this becomes a thing, then you can find the guide here. And I think that's going to be quite interesting to see how this will shape the meta. Maybe we're going to see other support classes as well, but Druid definitely brings the biggest package, basically. Barbs have, for example, the advantage to have the steel grasp. They can actually pull stuff really precisely and really tightly together. This might be really beneficial for some setups. As I mentioned, we've seen this in the past with Shatter Zorks, for example. So at least those two classes definitely have some capabilities here. For the other classes, playing support so far doesn't really seem very promising, but who knows, maybe over time we're going to get more kind of group buffs, especially as new items, legendaries, uniques, and so on are being introduced, or maybe other season themes in the future, so who knows. And I guess we'll see what happens. I gotta say, personally, so far, I've not really played a lot of group play at all in Diablo 4. I've usually just been kind of like solo self-found. Maybe I traded a few things here and there, and then sometimes I like boss rollers, and that's kind of the extent of my group play for the most part. but it would definitely be something new and interesting to explore. I've done group play in Diablo 3, especially in the older seasons, quite a bit, and that was usually quite fun. Now the thing is that I'm a little bit worried about this as well, because for example in Diablo 3, group play is so massively superior to solo play. We've already seen this in Diablo 4 with like just the efficiency gains that you have from, for example, boss rotas. That has now been adjusted in Season 8, so boss rotas are not 4 times more efficient in party play, they're just like slightly more efficient now. So you can, for example, much more reliably do solo boss farming, and you don't have to feel bad about it. So Blizzard has done some changes here, but if we get these kind of like group metas where, you know, groups can easily go like 10 pit tiers higher or 20 pit tiers higher than solo players or something like that, that could eventually lead to some problems, depending on how rewarding it is to actually do that. So for example, in Diablo 3, you can go way faster and way higher in the Greater Rifts, for example, and being as a coordinated team. And that also just makes it kind of a feels bad moment for solo players if they want to progress and they feel like they just can't have it as easily as other players, for example. So yeah, we'll see. But for now, it's definitely like an interesting novelty. And as I mentioned, stay tuned for the guide that Boiler is going to update. And then we'll see what happens in Season 8. I just wanted to show this off here real quick. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you have any other like ideas of combinations, for example, or what else you would like to see from like potential group play in Diablo 4. But yeah, this is what we got here. So hope you enjoyed this video here. Stay tuned for more PTR updates, and I'll see you guys next time.